When we think of the military, we think of protection. People trained to defend their country, protect civilians, and live by discipline and honor. Members of the military are trusted to save lives, and they're the last people we expect to harm the innocent. However, in October 2008, a quiet neighborhood in Southern California became the scene of a crime committed not by a notorious serial killer, but by individuals who wore the uniform people associated with courage, integrity, and a duty to protect the innocent. This is the story of Marine Jan Paul Pietrzak and Quiana Jenkins Pietrzak, two newlyweds whose lives were cut short by colleagues they believed they could trust. Welcome to True Crime 360. I'm Jessica, and I'll be taking you on a journey into true crimes from around the world. My goal is to shed light on the stories of victims, hold perpetrators accountable, and explore the pursuit of justice. If you enjoy what you hear, please consider subscribing, liking, and leaving a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts. Everything I share is based on my own research, and I encourage you to dig deeper, do your own research, and form your own opinion. Without further ado, let's dive into today's case. Jan Paul Pietrzak was born on March 13, 1984, in Poland. When he was around 10 years old, his family emigrated to the United States, settling in the Bensonhurst neighborhood of Brooklyn, New York. After finishing high school, Jan enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 2003. He trained as a helicopter mechanic, a highly skilled and respected role responsible for maintaining aircraft and keeping them mission-ready. Jan served with distinction overseas in Iraq, demonstrating both skill and courage under pressure. Upon returning to the U.S., he was stationed at Marine Corps Air Station Miramar, near San Diego, California, rising to the rank of sergeant. Friends and colleagues described Jan as a disciplined leader, someone serious about his work and deeply committed to his Marines. Those who knew him said he was proud of his service and took pride in wearing the Marine uniform. While stationed in San Diego, Jan met Quiana Jenkins, born on February 16, 1982, in California. Quiana was a student at San Diego State University, pursuing her dream of becoming a doctor. The two met through mutual friends in 2005. At first, Quiana was hesitant to date someone in the military, knowing the long deployments, strict schedules, and inherent risks of service. Despite these concerns, their bond grew quickly over shared values and life goals. On August 8, 2008, Jan and Quiana married. Soon after, they purchased their first home together in the Winchester, French Valley area, near Marine Corps Air Station Camp Pendleton, where Jan continued his work as a helicopter mechanic. Life was perfect as the couple was starting a future together with love and happiness. However, on October 15, 2008, Jan failed to report for duty, a behavior completely out of character for someone known for his punctuality and dedication. Concerned, his coworkers tried calling him repeatedly, but there was no answer. By mid-morning on October 16, 2008, the Marine Corps leadership contacted local police to request a welfare check. When officers arrived at the Pietrzak home, the front door was wide open. Inside, they were confronted with a scene of unimaginable horror: the lifeless bodies of Jan and Quiana, bound, assaulted, and each shot twice in the head in an execution style. Every room in the house had been ransacked. Drawers were thrown open, belongings scattered across every room, and valuables were missing. Racial slurs were spray-painted on the walls near the master bedroom and smeared across a bathroom mirror. Signs of a violent struggle were evident, suggesting the victims had fought desperately to defend themselves. The variety of footprints found inside the home suggested that more than one killer had been involved. The brutality of the attack made it clear the case was not a random robbery gone wrong. Among the evidence recovered from the Pietrzak home was Jan's Marine Corps duffel bag, the type used to store military gear. This raised a red flag for detectives, suggesting the suspects were likely fellow Marines. After all, someone already serving in the military would have no reason to steal gear they already possessed. Just hours after the murders, Quiana's ATM card was used near the back gate of Camp Pendleton. Although the ATM surveillance footage couldn't clearly identify who made the withdrawal, the location further directed investigators' attention toward suspects within the Marine Corps. As investigators pieced together the crime, their focus quickly shifted to people close to Jan. He had been talking openly about a $30,000 re-enlistment bonus, keeping cash at home, and being a strict sergeant who insisted on things being done correctly, details that may have made him a target among those close to him. Through witness interviews, surveillance footage, forensic evidence, and cell phone records, Authorities ultimately zeroed in on Tyrone Lloyd Miller, Emery's Justin John, Darnell Cox, and Kasson Kidron Sykes. Evidence recovered from the suspects' homes included shoes that matched footprints at the crime scene, firearms connected to the murders, and the couple's personal belongings, including Jan's Marine uniform and Quiana's ATM card. These discoveries helped investigators directly link the suspects to the killings. Each of the four men was charged with first-degree murder, robbery, and conspiracy. All pleaded not guilty. Throughout the investigation and trial, each defendant tried to shift the blame, pointing fingers at the others to downplay his own involvement in the brutal murders. On October 24, 2008, Jan and Quiana were laid to rest together, a decision made by their families so the couple could remain together in peace. However, it would take nearly 5 long years before the families could finally find closure. Miller, identified as the mastermind behind the home invasion and murders, was one of the first suspects to face a jury. In July 2013, he was found guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder, along with special circumstances including robbery, burglary, and sexual assault, and received the death penalty. John, identified by prosecutors as the men who pulled the trigger that ended the couple's lives, was tried concurrently with Miller. In June 2013, 23-year-old John was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder. The jury found that the extreme brutality of the killings warranted the harshest punishment, recommending the death penalty. In August 2013, Judge Christian Thierbach formally sentenced John to death. John made a brief statement to the Pietrzak's family, expressing remorse for his actions. Cox faced trial alongside John and Miller in June 2013, and was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder with special circumstances. While prosecutors proved that Cox participated in the home invasion and was present during the killings, the jury concluded that he was not the primary shooter and did not play the same leading role as John or Miller, who were identified as more directly responsible for the executions. Because of this, the jury decided he would not face the death penalty. Instead, in August 2013, 25-year-old Cox was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. At sentencing, although Cox offered a brief apology to the Pietrzak family, he showed little remorse, insisting he did not deserve the punishment. In 2014, Kasson Kidron Sykes was tried on a separate schedule. With multiple defendants, an overwhelming amount of evidence, and the complexity of the case, the court determined that handling his trial separately would ensure the proceedings ran more smoothly. In August 2014, 27-year-old Sykes was convicted on multiple charges, including 2 counts of first-degree murder and associated special circumstances such as robbery, burglary, and sexual assault. The jury recommended the death penalty, and in November 2014, Judge Christian Thierbach sentenced Sykes to death, making him the 4th former Marine to receive that punishment in the case. At sentencing, Judge Christian Thierbach described the murders as savage and inhuman, making it clear why the harshest penalties were demanded. With the verdict finally delivered, do you think justice was truly served for Jan and Quiana Pietrzak? Until we meet again for the next case, wherever you are in the world, take care of yourself. And thank you for joining me as we uncover the dark truths behind real-life crimes.